Wow, this is something. You should see the view from this side, and this is something. Okay, are you awake already? Yes? Can I ask something? Okay, because it's my first time here in Poland, and I'm always amazed with the Polish testing community. Okay, so any testers out there? Yeah, can you raise your hand? Okay, we have a few testers, so nice. So this is the right conference. Can I ask you just a big applause for the Polish testing community? Yes? Come on, you can do better. Yeah. Okay. I'm really amazed with everything that you are doing right now, and with this big community, and I think this conference is a very good example. Okay, so I will talk about me. I will not spend a lot of time on this, so I just skip this. You can see the slides later on, but I will talk. These slides where the first slides, it's about the company, right? The marketing. So I will not talk about any company, but I will talk about my country. Okay, Portugal. Do you know Portugal? Yeah. Okay, do you have been there? Good. So, probably you don't know this, okay? You don't know that we received several awards. Actually, we received several awards in 2017 and in 2018. Besides all those rewards, we received some more. So, like the best destination, best beach destination, best island, and plus 33 different awards, and also selected the hottest destination. Okay, so lots of reasons to visit us. But also, we were selected. There is studies for everything, right? Someone somewhere is always studying something. So we were selected the friendliest country in the world toward immigrants. Okay, and guess what? We do not have enough testers. So, so if you are looking for a nice, safe country with a nice beach, nice weather, nice wine, nice food, and some Portuguese guys there, just search for this on LinkedIn or Twitter, and you will find almost every single day new job offers. Okay? So, but today I will talk about IoT. Any IoT expert in the room? No? Good, because I can say anything, right? If you have an expert there, you always need to be careful. Okay, so it's good that we do not have any IoT expert. So right now, I think it's quite exciting, all this thing about IoT. So when the internet started, we had this content that was. Do you remember when it started? The first web page. So it was mailed by someone to someone, right? This was a human-produced content to a human being, right? So it was just to share this. But now this is completely different. So it evolved. So we have this content that is automatically generated by machines, to machines and to humans. So it's really exciting to be in the IT world in these days. And we are transforming all these massive data into information. Do you agree with that? Well, that was in the last century. Right now, we are trying to bring all this data into something quite different, into intelligence. Okay, so that's the challenge that we have right now. So I still believe that this is really exciting, and we have also the means to do something. When we started with IT, we had these huge and quite expensive computers, right? And not so powerful. Today, in our pockets, we have these smartphones, much more powerful than that big one that it was like a huge building, right? So we have the cloud storage, we have the cloud computing, and also it's coming, this quantum computing. So it will be even better, even more exciting. And we have also the communications infrastructure. Everyone is connected, right? If we are not connected, then we start to stress. We need our Wi-Fi, we need our battery, or else someone will start having problems. And besides that, it's also quite excessive in terms of costs, right? So you just go to the internet, and you can buy all these different sensors, and you can receive it next day at home, and you only spend a couple of bucks. So it's not really expensive. Today, everyone can have access to that. And that's good and bad. But also from the government point of view and the industry, we have the right conditions. So everyone is trying to push IoT. Why? To make it more efficient, in the end of the day, to save money, right? It's always about money, you know that, right? So governments are looking this for example, for the smart cities to save money in the energy that they are spending, or just to optimize the transports or the flow inside the cities. And the industry, they are also looking to this to reduce costs. All different areas of industry, but mainly energy and utilities, automotive, they are leading this revolution. They call it the Industrial Revolution 4.0. Okay? But the other areas are also following the same path. Automotive, healthcare, transport, logistics, retail, all of these. They are following the same path. So this will be a big thing. Some numbers. 29% of the organizations, they are already adopt IoT. But even more interesting is the second number. 84% of these adopters said that IoT grew in the past 12 months. So these numbers will be much bigger day after day, week after week. But also the last one, they said that IoT, it's not just something, just a standalone technology. It's a little bit more of that. And of course, it will leverage and it will link with analytics, with big data, with machine learning, with artificial intelligence. All of that will come together. Okay? So, but what is IoT? Everyone is talking about IoT, right? But do we know what is IoT? What is our idea about IoT? Do you have any IoT device? Raise the hand if you do not have any IoT device. One. Okay, you do not have any IoT device. Yeah. Do you have a smartphone? Yeah. Okay. So okay. Well, once there was a case where one guy didn't have a smartphone device. And I was, really? Okay, but it was true. So smartphones are actually quite powerful IoT devices. Okay, so today it's almost impossible to find, or it's impossible to find someone that does not have an IoT device. If you are Portuguese, you will have at least 2 IoT devices. Okay, 2 smartphones. Yeah, we love smartphones. At least 2. Okay, I'm an exception. So you have these bracelets, you have all these devices at home, in the car, with you all the time. All these smart devices. So I try to find some definitions. Okay, so the first one, and well, this is a big screen. You can see a network of physical devices, electronics, software, sensors, connected together, and that are able to exchange data. So these are always the main keywords. Another definition, a global infrastructure, advanced service. So we have all this network of devices, and we are providing advanced service over this interconnected device, over these things. Internet of Things, right? Things, something. Identification, data processing, data that is being communicated, and to offer this service should ensure security and privacy. Should. We already saw what you can do with some webcams, right? That's an IoT device. Quite interesting one, but we have another ones. So in the same documents, and I will provide all these reference, you can see that IoT it's a vision. So it's not a physical thing. It's not something that you can grab. It's more like a vision, like a nirvana, something that you would like to achieve. From the technical and from the social point of view, we will have impacts. So our world, as we know it today, it's changing, and it will change even more also because of IoT. Not only, but also. So let's talk about these things. What is a thing? And a thing basically can be lots of different things. Okay, it's the only way to define a thing. So it's a system. You have this computing device, can be a mechanical, can be just a digital. And this definition introduces animals and even people. So we can be a thing in the world of Internet of Things. So really, it's anything that you can think. It could be a person, it can be an animal, it can be a car, it can be a mobile phone. Anything can be transformed and can be connected to the Internet of Things. That's huge. So you can imagine the number of devices, right? Not just for one person, but everything around. So anything that can be assigned an IP address, anything that can provide this ability to produce or consume and to connect and to exchange data, it's a thing in the world of Internet of Things. So today, let's try to understand what this means for testers. So to start, it's a new context. It's always anytime, any place, anything. So this device will be available at any time, right? You always have your phone in any place. It's always with you. And any place. So it's not like you go to the office and you have your lab and you test your device there. Because your device can be in any place. So you know what it means for testers. Lack of control. It's merely very impossible to reproduce the same context because you never know where the user will have that smartphone or that IoT device. Right? It can be in a train because he's commuting, but it can be also underwater because he's on vacations and he's just taking some pictures underwater. Right? So it's quite difficult to be able to reproduce this. And also the new device. So today, anyone is doing mobile testing? Yeah? With mobile testing, you have this huge amount of device. I say, I cannot test everything. But with IoT, it's even worse. Because anyone can build an IoT device. You can have a startup, and today it's so cheap, so easy. And they can start to build their own IoT device. Something else that you need to test, and something else that will also interfere with everything, with all the other devices that are connected. So this is the big number. 20 billion connected things in 2020. I think we will have more. Okay? But this is the number from Gartner. And also a new model. So you need to take care of all these different layers, all these different devices. All the devices that are capturing data, all devices that are consuming data, all the devices that are exchanging data. So you have different devices interconnected. So it's also a new model that you need to learn, you need to understand. So you need to identify where is the points of failure, what you need to test for. Right? So this is a big challenge also from that perspective. And talking about challenge, so what are the main challenges? I will try to identify some of them. User interface, that's a big challenge. Why? Because we are talking about a different interface. It's not like testing a web app or a mobile app that you have this interface where you can interact with. Sometimes there is no interface at all, just a command line or just some small LED interface that you need to interact. Okay? So you need to use different tools. Same knowledge, same techniques, but different set of tools. For example, robots or device to capture the image. The good thing is that most of these devices, if you have an interface, it's a standardized set of messages because the device is quite limited. So usually you can use OCR on top of that to get the text and to validate the text. Data. Well, we are talking about a huge quantity of data, massive quantity of data. And from the testing point of view, test data was always, and it will always be a challenge. But with IoT, that's even bigger. So we have challenges like this location or time warp data. For example, for a smart grid, smart device, to control your consumption of energy, if you are testing that, you need to send a command to change the configuration. It's not like the webcams. It will not happen like this. So you send a command and you wait, and in the next hour, you will receive the answer. Try to have a test case with that. You cannot stay there waiting 1 hour for the device to reply, right? So you need to use this time warp. So you need to accelerate the time. You need to accelerate the clock. So different techniques that you will need to use to be able to test this device. And of course, artificial intelligence, machine learning, all these data analytics tools will also help. We will need to use them to be able to manage all this amount of data. The amount of data that we will need to feed the device in, but also the amount of data that the device will produce. Okay? It's amazing the amount of data that a small device can produce. You will not believe it. Diversity. We already talked about this before. So we will have just too many IoT devices. That's a fact. So what we can use techniques like what we did in the past for the browsers, for the mobile device. We can use techniques like the 80-20, right? We can focus on the most relevant device because of the risk, because of the community, because of the market, and we can also run some sanity tests on the ones that are less used. So we cannot forget them, but we need to prioritize our effort, our time. Protocols. Oh, that's a big thing also. So we will have different protocols. It's not yet defined what will be the protocol that all these IoT devices will use. It's like some years ago with the mini disk, with the CD. You know that fight, right? So with IoT, it's the same. They are still fighting. We have different protocols right now. A good thing for us as a tester is that most of these devices, they provide what they call hub. And this hub, it's nothing more than just a web server with an API interface or with a REST interface. And this hub will then talk with all the IoT devices. So that's a good thing, because if you are already doing a REST API testing, then we have already tools for that, we have knowledge for that, so we can leverage on it. So it's not something completely new. So instead, for example, you know these smart lights? On the previous talk, we asked, there was a question about smart lights. So if you have these smart lights, usually you will not talk with the light itself. You talk with this HTTP hub, and that hub will communicate, will control the lights. Okay, so that's a good thing for us, because we do not need to learn all these different protocols. We can do tests end-to-end without learning all these details. But of course, we need also to learn this interface, these commands that they will use, and automation needs to be in place. There is no other way to do it. Okay. Of course, we will have manual tests, but automation, it's mandatory because of the huge amount of the device, because of the huge amount of tests that we will need to run. There is no other way to do it. And the good thing is, as I said, is that today, most of the testers are already doing API testing. Okay? So we can move from the web or mobile testing teams to IoT testing teams, leveraging the knowledge that we already have today. So it's not something completely new. Performance. So when you have your device with you, you have high expectations. You always expect your device to be on and to be responsive, right? When you have a smartphone, or when you have a bracelet, or when you go home and you click on your smart hub to turn on the lights, do you expect any delay? Of course not, right? You click and you expect to see some light. You do not care if that is connected to the internet and if that will need to send out some comment to somewhere. You click and you expect the light to come on. So these are the expectations. So we have a huge expectation on the performance. But we are talking about very small devices, some of them quite limited, because of the size, because of the power consumption, because of the hardware itself. So we are talking about limit device, limit also on the interface. We have this small device. So it's like the smartphones and the smartwatch. For me, I don't use any watch itself, but I cannot see anything on those small screens, you know. And I have small things, but if you have these fat fingers, and if you try to do something on that small interface, that can be tricky, can be a challenge just by itself. So usability, it's also playing an important, crucial role on the IoT testing. Again, regarding this performance, most of these devices will be or should be optimized for the performance. And this will also bring additional challenge to tests. The network traffic, they should be small and fast, right? So we already saw that when we moved from SOAP to REST JSON files. So one of the goals was to reduce these huge XML files into something that was much smaller. So with IoT device, we will see the same. Optimized protocols, optimized messages, because the device, they will need to use this information in an optimized way. And also to reduce the amount of computation. Again, this device will be smart also from that perspective. They will not need to be always on, but they will be on when they need to. In the end of the day, they will send the data. It's like your bracelet. You do not need to have your bracelet always connect to your mobile phone. But from time to time, your bracelet will send information to your mobile phone. So that's the kind of optimization that this IoT device will need to have. And of course, also memory, storage, and power consumption, right? Because when you use some of these devices, you need to trust on the device. You need to trust that it will stay on at least for the day, right? So power consumption is also playing a really important role. So dependencies, another big challenge, because as we saw before, the context it's much broader now. So this means that we also have more dependencies. So we need to change our testing strategy to include tests that will validate these dependencies. So the failover testing, what happens when something goes wrong? Your device will reboot, it will just say freeze, what happened? And what happened if someone tries to inject some input that is not what you expect? So these are also the kind of tests, much more technical tests than before. Isolation testing. All these devices, they will work with different components. So you need to be able to isolate them. It could be the network component. It could be something else that will be at home. So if you have Amazon Alexa, and if you have your iPhone Siri, and if you have your Android Google Now, they will start to talk with each other. So you need to understand how this device will interact with the other device that you have. Do you have Google Now activate? So I do, and sometimes I'm just in a meeting, the phone is there, and then it starts to record, and it starts to search for something. I'm looking, what hell? What is doing? Right? Is interacting with everything else in the room. Maintenance testing. So the problem with this IoT device is that when they were built for the first time, no one was thinking about series spec. Windows was always about that, right? Series specs, hotfix. But this IoT device, you never know where they will be. So you also need to be able to update them. If there is a security problem, you need to release a hotfix, and you need to be able to do this kind of maintenance. So maintenance testing, it's also quite important. And this big word, interoperability testing, okay, changing the device and understand how they will interface with each other. So security, we already saw the previous talk about security on the webcams, how critical this is. But for IoT in general, it's also a big, big thing. I will say it's the biggest thing at all. Okay, so I will give you some examples. Okay, we saw the webcams, and that was fun, right? But now imagine that it's your webcam at home with your kids. And some of these cameras, they even have this night vision. Is still fun? Probably not, right? Well, but we can have some fun.
Curtains, lights, doors. It even unlocks my car. And the only one with access is me.
I couldn't resist to this movie. Well, we are in a cinema, right? So I need to bring also some movie. But you also need to understand that when we are talking about security, we are also a security flaw. Okay, we as users. So this is a nice one. Also, do you know this? Do you know these kind of things, right? Japanese, they love it. So there was a security flaw in this IoT device where your neighbor was able to control things like water pressure, like temperature, or things like this or that. So you can imagine, try to imagine this, try to imagine your neighbor and try to imagine yourself doing some security or some testing on the device from your neighbor, okay? Yeah, good ideas, just for educative purpose, of course. They have things like volume. I don't know why they need volume in a toilet, but yeah, they have it there. Some more. So our previous speaker he was talking about this, right? The implants that you have in your heart. So just in the States, this is the number over there, 500,000. So if someone hacks this device, it means that if they click in a key in the keyboard, they can just shut down 500,000 devices. Just like this. So this is IoT. Last time that I was talking about this in Russia, actually when I was in the plane, or before getting into the plane, I saw some news about these Russian hackers they were playing around with the power plants in UK using IoT device. So they can shut down everything remotely, just using all these network of IoT device. So that's why security is really, really a big thing. The problem is that before, when we were talking about security, when we were talking about IoT, the challenge was to make the things work together. No one was thinking about security, right? First, let's make it work, and then we can think about security. In the plane, actually, when I was coming to Krakow, to Poland, the guy just next to me was reading this newspaper, Financial Times, security, cybersecurity, Internet of Things. I said, wow, that's good. So I saw, you can find these online also, and they have several news about IoT. The first one is Winfried's attack, why hackers could target the grid. So basically, if they have this huge network of the IoT device, like fridge, like the formula device, all these devices, they can increase the power consumption, and if they do that all together, they can just shut off the smart grid. So your smart grid will be off, and a full country will be in the dark. And from there, you can do a lot of other things, right? And, well, when I was looking to the previous talk, do you know these big planes with webcams on it, right? So they were already able to hack a plane. In this case, it was a 757. So you can imagine this huge drone that you can control. Yeah, that should be fun, especially if you are not inside, right? Yeah, it's like guns. You always need to be on the right side of the gun. So this is coming. Okay. So just to finish, 5 minutes. So to recap, IoT for testers. It will be, I believe, the next big thing. So when I'm talking about the next big thing, it's where the money will be, where the investment will be. It's like the internet. It was the big thing in the past. So I believe IoT will be the next big thing. Not artificial intelligence, but IoT. So artificial intelligence will be supporting all these devices. But I believe that the big investment will be on all these smart devices that will be connected. It will bring this challenge in terms of scope, in terms of complexity, into a completely new level. So we need, as a testers, we need to be ready for that. Okay? And so that means that we need to leverage our knowledge, our testing techniques and tools. So it's not something completely new. That's something good, right? But we will need to use new platforms, and we will need to reinforce our technical competences, our technical knowledge. There is no other way to do it. Test automation, as I said, it's not optional, okay? 2 things that are not optional for the testers in IoT. I will say, one thing it's not optional at all, that it's to use the brain, okay? So it's mandatory to use the brain if you are a tester. Some testers forget that, believe me. We are just doing things because someone told us to do it, right? Or because the previous guy was already doing that. So as a tester, we need to be smarter than that. We need to use our brain. And if you are testing IoT, you also need to use automation. And as we saw, security, user experience, and performance are the main areas. So we are moving from functional to non-functional. So the non-functional will have a huge, huge impact in IoT. We are talking about more technical roles in the testing world. And of course, artificial intelligence and machine learning, they will become part of the solution, but also part of the problem. Okay? Things like security, this AI will help us to be more secure, but it also can help in the wrong hands to be a little bit less secure. Okay? So, thank you. Obrigado. I will try. Jakey. Thank you.
Thank you, Joel. Thanks very much. I don't know about you guys, but next time I'm going to Portugal on holiday, I'm taking a train. I'm not flying anymore, unless you personally assure me that this Boeing is safe.
Well, I was only testing the landing gear of the Dreamliner, and that's a nice plane. But I have also some stories about helicopters and software for the American presidential helicopter. I was also doing testing on that. So I have some stories. If you want to discuss them or just to have some fun, just let me know.
Absolutely. And Joel, again, will be available in our networking room later. But let's now have, just very briefly, 1 or 2 questions. Question number 1 is from Stepan. And before I ask the question, Stepan, officially, this is yours. Stepan, where are you? This is your thing, mate. So do show up and collect it later. And Stepan's question is, IoT plus AI, artificial intelligence, what is it? When can it happen, or has it already happened, and how dangerous can it be?
Well, it's already happening. It's already in your pocket. So you have a smart device, right? No matter if you have, probably you will have Android or iOS, and you have Siri or you have Google now. And these services are using artificial intelligence today. So all this data, it's being fed into the cloud, and all this data is being processed using machine learning and using artificial intelligence. So we are not talking about the future. We are talking about the past and the present. Okay? So yeah, this is already happening now. How dangerous can it be? Well, again, it depends. If you are inside the plane, it can be quite dangerous. Okay? It can be quite dangerous because security was not the focus. Right? Privacy, it's also quite important. When we are talking about security, it's not only about what you can do, it's also about the information that you can grab. Let me share a quick story, okay? Some months ago, I just parked my car in the morning to get a coffee, and Portuguese love coffee. So I went to the coffee, I received a phone call saying, oh, you need to schedule a maintenance, it's from the mechanic, and you need to schedule a maintenance appointment for your car. And say, no, I don't. Yes, you do. You have a warning in your car. And say, no, I don't. I said, no, you have. I said, okay. So I went outside, I checked, turned on the car, and pling, the alarm was there. So they knew more about me than myself. So this is a security issue from me, from my point of view. So the car was telling them before telling me that there was a maintenance required. So all of this information, it's also privacy and it's also security. Okay? So this is how dangerous it can be. If you are doing mobile testing, you already know all this information that is being sent to all the analytics platforms. Believe me, we can know everything about everyone just using analytics and connecting all the social networks. It's scary. It really is.
Could I just get one more question?
Yep.
Just a 30-second question. What will or should be the responsibility of testers in IoT? After all, we'll be testing, for example, automated cars, which system sensor failure could end in some fatalities.
Yeah, so who will be responsible if something fails? So we have a whole saying in Portugal that when your house is stolen, then you put a lock in the door, right? So now that we have all these security issues, the governments are making laws to prevent them. At this moment, most of the countries are making laws as optional. So if you are working with IoT, optionally, you should take care of some things, like there is no default password. There is no way to reset it to the default password, okay? But for now, it's only optional. And the next step, that will be mandatory. And these laws, these groups that are working on this from the government point of view, they are also defining who should be responsible if something goes wrong with an IoT device. Okay, so that's still being discussed. But we, as testers, I think we have a huge responsibility on this question. Okay, we should make a better world, and our role on IoT is also to improve that. So it's not just the functional, but it's also the ethical point of view. Quite important.
Thank you. Artur, make sure you show up here for one of our mysterious gifts for the question. Now, I'm sure you've been scared enough so far. There will be more scary stories after the break, but before we take the break, let's warmly thank João Oliveira.
Thank you.